Hi, everybody. I know it's been a long time since I last posted a video, and I've been thinking about this so much and how I want to come back and share with you more about my experience living in North Dakota. And I thought I haven't actually addressed what I consider to be the elephant in the room in terms of me living here. So this video, based on the title, is my experience of being a person of color living in North Dakota. For those of you who haven't seen any of my previous videos, I am originally from a big city, Midwestern city, and I moved to North Dakota in March of 2015 for a career opportunity. And I was so ready for the change that I didn't necessarily process whatever challenges or obstacles I may face. And so I was just pretty much like, it's a job, it's got benefits, it's stable income, and it's in a career path that I had been trained to do. So checked off most of my, my major requirements at that time in my life. So I moved here in March of 2015. And it was funny because I lived in a small town that had about 7 or 8,000 people, and knew that it was predominantly white. And I ended up going out. I moved on a Saturday night, and that Sunday morning, I ended up going and just wanting to take a tour of the city because I didn't have my vehicle at the time. So I was like, let me just walk around and see what's going on. First person I see was another person of color. She was actually working for the university in town. And what made it even more interesting is that we were dressed really similar. So I remember I had on like a lime green shirt, some navy blue leggings, and I had my hair like I'm in a natural style. And so does she. So I look up, she's across the street from me. She's got a lime green like jacket on, some blue, I think she has some like dark blue leggings too, and her hair was also, in a natural curly state. And it was just like, duh, I gotta go and meet her. So I did. I crossed the street, and I was like, when I saw you, I just knew I had to meet you. And we kept in contact for, the time she was there. And she ended up moving I moved there in March, and she moved away in December for a new career opportunity. We actually kept in contact after she moved away, so I still consider her, somebody who I could, consider a friend. So that was really cool, just like the first kind of foray of, moving to that area, and the first person I meet is a person of color. So she's an example of someone that I felt like, not only did we share, cultural background, but we ended up getting along really well too. That being said, after she left, of course, I'm like, okay, who's my circle, or, one or two folk that I can consider, friends. And I had met black people in that city where I lived, there was one that there was a family, and, I was going over there fairly, not regularly, but like maybe once a month when we first got to know each other, and we would just have a great time. They had 3 children, and they were, a happy couple. I mean, they looked really happy. And, for whatever reason, I don't know if life got in the way, but it kind of got hard to maintain that connection. And, it's like, well, if people are busy with their lives, and I'm single, so I'm like, well, they clearly have things going on, and I had things going on. So, it was good while it lasted. Another person I remember, we worked in the same building, and we also, had lunch a couple of times, but we just couldn't make it work. And it just came to be this like struggle to stay connected solely on the basis of, we are both black, or we're both black. We're both minorities in this town, or people of color, if you will. So, it was kind of like, well, I want to have that cultural connection, but if it feels like it's just a challenge to stay connected, then I gotta expand my, my circle of friends. And sure enough, I was, able to connect with older ladies. Some were a little younger than me who were white. I found I was attending a church in town, and the pastor and I were really cool. And she was like in her, I think, late 20s or early 30s, and so she and I hung out a few times. And I just found myself getting away from that. It wasn't an expectation that I would, connect with other minorities or other people of color, but there was this desire, like, hey, I know you can, I know I can connect with you because maybe we have a shared experience, which at the time wasn't a bad experience. It was just, coming to, a predominantly white community in a small town, North Dakota. I mean, we definitely have some type of shared, story at least. But, it just got really tough, and I was like, I just need to look at who I'm connecting with and who it seems to be easier to stay connected with. And I found that in people who weren't, who were white. And I wouldn't say that I would, not, connect with other people of color, but there's not this expectation anymore of, well, we're gonna be friends, and we're gonna, get along, and we'll be in each other's lives. It just might not be that way. So as it relates to the friendships, I don't find that I have a lot of friendships with Black people or people of color. I'm trying to keep it. I mean, I just say in general, people of color. I don't have that many. I find the people that I've maintained friends with are white. So that's one thing, about my experience is that, my circle of friends has expanded, and I like it. Another experience I've had is I've not experienced overt racism. And I say overt because I don't know if people have, maybe made assumptions about me and treated me as such, like maybe negatively. I can't think of any, honestly. But I do sympathize with those who are, have suffered. I mean, this is kind of the stories that have come up, recently at the posting of this video. Were people who, who are using coupons in the dollar store, and they're getting the cops called on them for whatever reason. Just the quickness that people feel the need to call cops on people of color for these stupidest reasons. I haven't had that experience, and I acknowledge that privilege. That maybe being a Black female versus being a Black male may have a different experience living here, but I think it's important to recognize, like, there's just people who are narrow-minded or who just feel fear just because they don't encounter people of color in this region. I remember I was invited over a friend's house, and she's white. Not her house, but for the 4th of July, it was her husband's extended family's home. And I've actually, there's a certain comfort that I feel when I'm encountering people where I'm the only person of color. There's just this. I have the ability to just be like, let's see what friendly person I'm gonna meet. There's typically one, and those who may be a little hesitant to meet me or to engage me, I think I try my best to be like open and fun and outgoing and engage in conversation regardless of the crowd. Like, I try to have the same demeanor if I was with a bunch of, people of color versus, a bunch of non-people of color. And so I think going in, I was like, just let's see who I meet. And I knew my friend was going to be there, so that did make it easier to engage those around. So I saw her, and she introduced me to everybody, and people are like, hi. There's like a brightness to their face when they meet me, and maybe it's their way of just being like, well, I want you to feel welcome, and maybe it's their masking some kind of hesitation, as far as the type of person that I'll come off as. But as the night went along, and me and my friend were talking, and the conversation was just kind of going along. People heard what we were talking about, whatever we were talking about, and they felt comfortable to join in. And I felt people just more willing to engage, and it was just a really positive experience. And I think for me, I've had to find positive experiences as they come. I think being here can be challenging in terms of if you don't have family or like activities. Like being in a small town, the activities in my mind are not as plentiful as they would be in a bigger city. So you have to be a bit creative to keep your social life going. I found some coworkers at work that I found to be people who I can hang out with. And like I say, just being a person of color here, you learn how to connect with people based on personality, based on temperament, based on shared interests. And I mean, ideally it'd be nice to connect with Black people or people of color, but if it doesn't happen, a friend at the end of the day is a friend, regardless of the skin that he or she comes in. And whoever, if you're watching this video just wondering about my experience and you have questions, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it. But just my experience as a person of color has been one that's positive for the most part, but just being wary of not trying to connect with those around you based solely on color. It just hasn't always worked out for me in that regard, but I have been able to meet some really good people along the way. So yeah, if you have any questions, like I say, leave a comment below. And if you have any questions that maybe I could turn into a video, that'd also be good, just because, sometimes it just feels like, what other topics could I touch on, related to living here that I haven't thought about. So I'd appreciate your help in that, making a suggestion. So, all right, till the next video. Bye.